Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. I'll never forget the day that my friend David came and told me that both of his sons had been shot, right? We were on the ball field working out, and I had just finished doing my set, and I raised up off the bench. And when I raised up off the bench, I saw him walking towards me. And the closer he got to me, the more I can tell that something was wrong with him. He just didn't look his usual calm self, right? So I got up off the bench, and as I was taking off my gloves, I'm walking towards him, and I said, "Bro, you all right?" And he was like, "No." He said, "Man, can we talk?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can talk. Ain't no big deal." You know what I'm saying? I said, "What's up?" So I told bro and them, "Look, I'm gone. I'm finna walk, you know what I'm saying, with cuz and see what he got going on or whatever, right?" And they were like, "All right, then we got you, we watching." I said, "Okay, that's what's up." Because I really didn't want them around me because I could tell this brother wanted to talk to me in private, right? And I had been at another facility with him, and that's the part you need to understand. Let me give you the backstory and bring you up to this moment, okay? This is what I need to do. We were at another facility together. This is 8-some-odd years ago when his young sons, both of them, were in the VG. They were in the VG at the same time my two kids were. You know what I'm saying? And his sons at that time were maybe like 10, 11, or 11 to 12, something like that, right? Because, yeah, it was about 11 or 12 years old, right? And he used to always talk to him and kick it with him. And he was showing them how to make gang signs and all this and that, and had them up there teaching them how to, crip walk and all this and that, right? And at that time, listen to me, y'all. Y'all need to understand this. At that time, we thought that was cute, funny. You feel what I'm saying? Now, my two sons, they looking at that, and I'm telling them, look, be paying no attention to that. You feel what I'm saying? Because I didn't turn them on like that. They were curious, but I didn't do that. You feel what I'm saying? They ended up finding their own way into this madness, okay? So we're watching that, and he encouraged his two sons. He, in fact, pushed it on them. And he was telling them they were going to be Crips one day. And they were with that. They didn't know any better. Their young minds were being molded by him, And as time went on, when they became teenagers, they got put on. You feel me? They got put on the same hood that he was on, right? And he was like proud about it. Proud about it. And the mother of these two boys, she didn't like it. That's from the conversations that he had with me. She didn't like it. She said, "This is trouble. I don't want my kids living the same kind of lifestyle that you living." That's what she told him, because he was in prison, in and out. You know what I'm saying? In and out. In jails and all that. He's doing all that. And when he was on the streets, he had some rank too at that particular time. When he was on the streets, he's getting money and doing all of these types of things. And he was passing this legacy on to his two sons. On to his two sons. Teaching them all the ways of that lifestyle and everything. And so they were fully involved by the time they were teenagers. So he gets out of prison. And when he gets out of prison, right, I'm still in prison, y'all. When he gets out of prison, I lost contact with him, you know what I'm saying, as far as talking to him on the phone. But I heard about him out there in the streets, really putting it down, coming up in the game, the dope game, all this and that. And his sons were right there with him every step of the way. Every step of the way. So he ended up back in prison because he got caught trying to, bring some stuff into the city, and he got caught in the old fluke traffic stop. You feel what I'm saying? And they popped him down. He's already on parole. They sent him back to the penitentiary. Now he leaves everything that he had set up his operation, the business. He left all of that to be handled by his two sons, and they were running the business for him. I'm talking about going down that highway, taking care of the business. He living penitentiary rich. Anything he wanted, he got. Money, drugs, any of that kind of stuff, he could get it, and he was getting it from his two sons, and everything was copacetic. And he bragged about how, they were true blue and all this and that, and he laid all of that out. And everybody respected, as far as the game go, y'all need to understand what I say when I say respected in that way. Everybody respected how he was molding them into be the type of men he wanted them to be. That he wanted them to be. They weren't concerned with playing no basketball and football and baseball and all this and that. They were doing their thing in the streets at a young age, and he was promoting it. And as they got older, they didn't come to the penitentiary, y'all. They didn't come to the penitentiary because they were learning from the ways that he was telling them, don't do this, don't do that. So they were pretty slick, I'm going to say, in how they were moving out there on the streets. So one day, a situation happened, right? They had never been tested before. Never been tested. And somebody tried to rob them. And when they got confronted with that situation, it was almost like, from what everybody was saying, I didn't see it, I wasn't there, y'all know how that goes. But from what everybody was saying, it was like they stared down the barrel of the pistol and confronted them dudes. You feel me? I'm talking about reputations shot from 5 to 10 at that moment. Because it's like these dudes don't fear nothing. They not playing. They the real deal as far as the streets go. And look here, his ego is over the moon. His ego is over the moon. He believes that he has made the right decisions for his sons because of the way they were living their lives. And everything in his mind was success. And he meant that. So like I said, he's back into the penitentiary. Okay? Years have passed. Years have passed. And then he finds himself up on the ball field with me. Finds himself on the ball field with me. And now he's telling me that his sons had been shot. They had been shot, and both of them were in the hospital in critical condition. And when I was talking to him on the ball field as we walked left, it was almost like he was outside of himself. It was almost like he didn't know what to do. I saw real fear in him that I had never seen before, because he loved his sons, but now he couldn't protect them. He couldn't protect them. They didn't have that Superman image anymore. Somebody had actually shot them and they were in the hospital, right? After a couple of days, you know, like I said, I consoled him. I told him, bro, everything gonna be all right. I'm saying all of these different types of things that you would say in a moment like that, right? But in the back of my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute. Man, I'm glad they wasn't my two sons, because I would be a nervous wreck not being able to be there for them. And then a couple of days go by and the news that nobody in the penitentiary want to hear at all came his way. They called him to the chaplain. When they call you to the chaplain, it ain't never good news. Never. I ain't never had a situation where it's good news, right? They called him to the chaplain and they told him one of his sons had died and one of them had made it. And they say he broke down. See, I worked in the chapel at that particular time, but I wasn't there that day. And when I wasn't up there at the time, he was up there. Anyway, let me put it like that. So when I got there later on, he was still there and he was sitting out into the church part, you know, the sanctuary where the seats at and all this and that, right? And he was just sitting there about on the third row back. And he's just sitting there by himself. And, you know, and the chaplain told him, you know, everybody to give him some time and let him be to himself, because everybody knew that he was this big time OG. You feel what I'm saying? But he was going through something. And as he sat there, I walked past him, and once I got in front of him and to the side, he saw me, and I turned and I faced him head on, and he stood up, and I saw tears just running down his face. And when them tears was running down his face, it was almost like he reached out to me, and it was almost like he was a child. His voice sounded like a little boy. The look in his eyes was the look of somebody that was lost and scared and uncertain and guilty. He had that look. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody that had that look on their face to where they know that they're to blame. That's the look he had on his face. And he reached out to me, and don't get me wrong, you know, we're in the penitentiary and I know everybody's supposed to be hard, but he reached out to me and I embraced him. And when I embraced him, it was like he squares tight around me. And I told him, I said, look, bro, it's going to be okay. And then he pulled back a little bit and he looked me dead in my eye. He said, no, it ain't Joe T. My son is dead because of me. And I didn't know what to say. I had no words. No words. I was struggling holding myself together because all I'm thinking about is the pain that he's experiencing. And I'm like, what do you do with that? What do you do with that type of pain? And after a few minutes, the chaplain, he heard him out there crying, and talking to me. So he steps out to see if he's okay. And I saw, the chaplain step out, and I waved him off. I said, threw my finger, just letting him know I got him. And we sat in there and we talked, and I tried to crack a joke, but they landed flat. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready, man. I tried to take it off his mind, and I couldn't. All he kept saying is that my son is dead because of me. So I tried to get him to focus on something, anything positive. So I told him, I asked him, what about your other son? Is he good? He straight? And he was like, yeah, he's straight. He's straight. He said the homeboys is up at the hospital with him. And when he said that, he saw that look in my face, right? And he said, man, they just up there to make sure don't nothing happen. I said, cuz, what happened, man? What happened that brought this on? He said, man, somebody tried to rob. I said, man. Somebody tried to rob him. He was like, yeah. I said, were they affiliated or anything like that? And he was like, nah. But I knew that in his mind, he wasn't going to tell me everything in that situation. You feel me? He wasn't going to tell me everything. And then I asked him, I said, when is he getting out of the hospital? Trying to keep him on that. And he said, they said it'll be a few more days. They just want to be sure, that he's going to be all right when he leaves the hospital, He got hit 6 times. I said, oh my God. 6 times. 6 times, y'all. Lit him up. He's lucky to be alive. Lucky to be alive. And able to walk and do all of that kind of stuff, So I said, man, be thankful for that. Be thankful that you got one son left, man. And when I said that, he broke down and he started crying. He said, I am grateful. It's just that none of this would have happened if it wasn't for me. I knew what he was talking about. But I asked him anyway. I said, hey, cuz, what do you mean by that? Tell me what you mean by that, man. I'm hoping that he didn't send him out to do anything, or it wasn't a run that was going on for him and all this and that. I hope it wasn't nothing like that. And it wasn't. And he said, man, I pushed them into this. I pushed them into this life. And he told me right then and there, he said, I'm sick of this, man. And I looked at him because I knew I didn't want to go hard on him like that, because that wasn't the time or the place. It's not the time or the place for that. This man is hurting bad. He said, man, but I got to get in touch with the homeboys because they're going to try to retaliate. I said, oh, man. I said, that don't end good either. I said, man, is there anything you can do to stop that? He was like, man, my son asking for it. I looked at him, man, and I just like, man, I said, cuz, you need to catch up and talk with him yourself. For real, man. He said, man, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Everything he know about this lifestyle, I gave it to him. So he's only doing what I taught him to do. And I'm looking at him. And then that's when I start thinking about my 2 sons. At that particular time, they hadn't become gangsters, And I'm saying to myself, please, I hope they don't ever join this life. And it turns out, if you've listened to any of my shows or any of my son's shows, that they did. But that's what I was thinking about at this time, talking to him. And he said, I got to figure out a way to tell my son to walk away from this, because I don't want to lose him too. And when he said that last part, he broke down and he started crying again. Like, y'all, listen to him. I want y'all to keep in mind. Let me give you a picture of him. He's probably like 6 foot tall, about 220, solid as a rock. Workout, you know what I'm saying? All that old kind of stuff, right? And hardcore. Hardcore. Live that life. Ain't nothing soft about this man, but this man could not stop from crying and breaking down because he got one son gone and one is trying to hurry up and catch up with him, if you ask me. But if you want to know how the rest of this plays out, tune in, y'all. It's coming right up. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.